distance, the white fence up there, that's where we're heading. The streets of Yorktown look much like they did back in 1781 when this happened. October of 1781. So I can't do the math, I'm not sure how many years ago that was. But it was in October.
And we're talking 1771.
Okay, Yorktown, the reason Yorktown is
Ryan,
here.
stop. That's not appropriate. I can see the check.
The city of Yorktown here was a major tobacco growing town. So back and forth, you can see this road here in the front, as we're coming up on it. It was a tobacco trading city. Okay, now, if we were here back in 1781 or in 1862, this street we're about to go on would have been filled with either British, Confederate, or Union soldiers. Thousands of them marching up and down these streets as they came back and forth to the water at the York River. Alright, we're going to walk up ahead here to the W. Diggs house.
So guys, if the camera all of a sudden like goes crazy and like you see the sky, that means this Hester fell down. Don't fall down, Miss Hester.
Alright, we're going to do our next little talk here for about 30 seconds. If you can get a view, this is the Dudley Diggs house. This was here at the time of the battle. I believe large portions of it are actually recreated. You notice there's several different outhouses. Back in Revolutionary War times, they would, if you were wealthy enough, your kitchen would be outside because if you get a little fire going, they don't want the house to burn down. Also, they would have an outhouse outside where you go to the bathroom, where you do your laundry. That's why there's several different buildings here. If you look really closely,
They take care of it, Ryan. They keep restoring it and things.
behind the white fence, you can see the ground rising up there. Those are the remains of fortifications from the Civil War. Confederate soldiers put cannons behind this house to shoot at any ship that was from the enemy Union side. Okay, those fortifications are still there today. You can see the mounds of earth right above the white fence on the corner there. Okay, but that's a whole different story, the fighting there. But these houses were used as hospitals as well. Rumor has it that this Dudley Diggs house is haunted. I've not done a ghost tour here, but this as well as the Nelson house, which we're about to go to. So we're going to walk down the street a little bit if you want to follow me.
We're coming. We're coming. So
Todd likes the speed walker.
here's the little street. So you got some signs and the light posts. Yes, there's obviously people that still live around here, so you're going to see like stuff from today. But a lot of stuff here is from back then. So it's really cool.
Yeah, close up on the Dudley Diggs house as we walk past it. The man was a lawyer. His wife died in childbirth right before the Revolutionary War, so the legend is that she is the one who haunts the house. So a sad story with his wife dying. We're going to move to the other side of the house here. Going okay?
Yep.
Alright, this pathway down is known as the Great Ravine. Okay, this is the path that traders would bring their tobacco up from the river, but also this is where the British, the Hessians, the American soldiers from the Civil War would have gone up and down on their way to the ships right
No,
here.
Catherine, this is the first time we've done this.
Okay, other side of the Dudley Diggs house. Now we're going to go to my favorite spot in historic Yorktown. This is the Thomas Nelson house. Thomas Nelson was fighting from the American side. He was a signer of the Declaration of Independence, a very important man, and a general in the American Army under Washington. This is his house right here on the left. And we come on up to it. Now, very interesting story. There it is right there. If you look closely, you can see battle damage, including cannonballs, up at the top two windows, and 3 windows on the bottom off to the right.
Cannonballs lodged in them.
So there's one
I see it.
At the very top, and then there's one at the bottom
happened is Thomas Nelson was telling his soldiers that were firing this way at Yorktown that, well, my house is one of the nicest ones in the town. There's got to be important people staying in my house. So he took money out of his own pocket. He said, I'll give $5 to anyone who could hit my house. So the soldiers all started to fire at this house, and the British officers in there had to run from here and take shelter in different locations. And it was only 2 days later that they had to surrender, because cannonballs, if you can imagine, would be flying into town from the American lines during the weeks of early October of 1781. Now, interesting enough, besides the battle damage in the house, this was used as a Civil War hospital. Okay, hundreds of soldiers were treated here, would have had their arms and legs amputated in the yard, buried around it. And the soldiers that were treated here all started to carve their names around the doorway here. So if you want to walk with me up to the doorway, you can see the names of the soldiers who carved their names, their initials in the doorway around the Nelson house here.
In the Civil War.
Civil War.
Yeah, this is in the Civil War. So Ryan, yeah, I saw your question. Yes, we are near water. We're near the York River.
You can see the close-up of the battle damage here along the
Yeah.
wall. Watch your step going up here.
So there's one of those cannonballs up close.
And if you ever come to Yorktown, you have to check out all the initials, the people who did not want to be forgotten. These are from the Civil War. The people who were treated here in this historic building, which was built in 1730.
So these initials have been here since the 1860s.
Yeah, 1862 is when these initials would have been carved.
There's some,
Some
on the other
say-
side too, right?
Yes.
See if you can find anyone.
Yeah,
that
the
has
people
same
did
initials
this.
as you
So
did.
like the soldiers that were like treated at this hospital during the Civil War, they carved their initials in these
Watch your step.
things. So not like visitors or tourists. It was actually from
We'll go down to the
1860s.
garden.
So yeah. All right, now we're headed to the garden.
Okay, we're gonna end here. When Washington was debating with the British or arranging terms for the surrender, there was a man in the British Army. His name was Bannister Tarleton, and he was, in my opinion, a very cruel, mean man, and he had a reputation for killing American prisoners. More than once, he and his men would shoot down American prisoners who were trying to surrender, and we wanted him bad. Okay, Cornwallis would not agree to surrender unless Washington agreed to let this man go free back to England. And Washington had to sit there and debate about what to do, and finally General Washington said, I'm going to let this guy go if this means the end of the British Army. Okay, so General Washington agreed to let this man go. The British surrendered, and it was the last major battle of the Revolutionary War. So independence was actually gained right here, right in Yorktown, because there was no more major battle after this. The British realized they had lost the war. We had gained our independence, and it's a great place. Now, do we have any questions? We might have a couple minutes to answer any questions from you guys here at this point.
Yeah, guys.
Okay,
If you have a question, take turns, unmute yourselves. Again, make sure they're school appropriate.